the couch. We're live streaming Facebook. Thank you. You're right there, just fine. I'm going to give you the mic, and then, maybe just because we are a distance away from the computer. And I'll sit down there by those pillows. Facebook, hi, it's me. You know who I am. We're doing the comic spot today on the couch. I have a visitor. You're going to love him. You're going to want to help support his comedy career. It's Sam Lundstedt. So let me do the intro, but first, a word from our sponsor. Our only paid sponsor for these shows is AHA Broadway. So if you're a senior, a veteran, or a child, they will help you with comedy, stand-up, improv, and acting. ahabroadway.org. Check them out. And now, here's the intro for Sam Lundstedt. He's a Las Vegas comedian. He's been in the business 5 years. He started here in Vegas. He's hosted at the Sci-Fi Center. I don't have that memorized. Don't expect me to memorize this stuff. At Ansara Restaurant. Asmara Restaurant. He's hosted at the Legends Bar. He's featured at the Dive Bar comedy show. And he won at the LA Comedy Club a contest about 3 years ago. And it was on the day his
Mom
passed away. Oh my gosh, we have to talk. So hang in there. We're going to go over here and I'm going to sit down over there and we're going to talk back and forth to Sam Lundstedt. Here we go. You ready? Kick back and enjoy the show. Awesome, Sam. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, welcome to my house. I'm going to turn off this light because it's blinding us out of the picture. I'm going to turn on the one over here by you. I got it. I know you're a gentleman and you would do it, but there, that's better. Sam.
Yes.
So you're a comedian in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And you've been doing comedy for about 5 years.
I have, yes. And it's been one of the best things I've ever done in my life to start out with doing comedy. It's amazing.
So when you answer, look at the camera, even though I'm over here.
Yeah, I can look at you that way.
You
Okay,
want to
perfect.
connect with the people at home in their
Nice.
pajamas. Hi, we know what you're up to. So 5 years doing comedy in Vegas. This is where people come for entertainment.
It is, and I have 2 kids. I have a 17-year-old kid and a 13-year-old daughter. I have a son and daughter. And in my house, comedy's a little bit of a bad word because how much you have to go out and do it and get good. I'm kind of away. So I have the kids for a week, and my co-parent has them for a week, and I try to get it in. But if I'm being paid for comedy, they know I got to take off and go do it.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
So what are some things that have happened to you that have made you want to do comedy? And what are some things that have happened to you when you've been doing comedy?
Okay, so some things that happened is that made me want to do it is I thought in Las Vegas you could only do comedy one night at Boomers Comedy, and it was just Sundays and that's all you could do it. Then everybody started telling me all these different rooms that you can do comedy in, and I said, for the way my brain works is I got to do it a lot to get good. I got to do it quite a bit, quite often. And I saw some people doing it, and I said, "Oh, I got some good stories. I got some stories that might be funny." And my first set I had about what I thought was 17 minutes, and they were all had to be there kind of stories. And I got up on stage and did that and said, "You should have saw the look on my mom's face." And it's like, okay, it's not. Yeah, it didn't hit. It didn't resonate. It took time, and then I started going a lot, and really, really good people in comedy brought me in the right way. And what I mean by that is just accepted me, let me sit with them, let me hang out with them, let me host spots with them. They said, "Sam, you're with us." So it was good, but at the same time for me, it added a lot of pressure like, oh no, I don't want to be the friend that sucks. So I had to try to get good fast. And with that mindset, you can get pretty good at doing it.
Who are some people that have come along and encouraged your comedy that you want to give a shout out to?
So, Brian, what happens if you do it every single night of the week? Comics will see the energy and the effort that you're putting into it and accept you into comedy and talk to you about tags, talk to you about your jokes. I'm a big believer that you should step in every single pothole for yourself. Like, oh, if you want to talk about women's body issues, guess what? That's not going to hit very well. That's not going to hit, and you're going to divide the room. But that's not something that you give people advice. That's something that they have to learn going through it. So it's not necessarily comedy, but Ryan Barrasso really helped me out a lot with sticking up for me and standing up for me. And I'll tell you this, I got an opportunity to host my room at Grouchy John's, and they asked me to do it. And I'm not very good with media. And Ryan took that little open mic and he put it on Facebook as a comedy club because I paid a few features to come out and do it. When I did that, that kind of jumped me up a lot from people coming out of town. Hey, where I can get on a show, that sort of stuff. So just by being nice, being kind, being friendly, will kind of take you far, pretty far in this. And I heard somewhere, be somebody that people want to help, and for me, that's worked out well.
That's amazing. When you were growing, I like going back to when people were growing up, because I'm older, I guess. When you were growing up, were you funny in school? Were you interruptive or getting in trouble? Who were you growing up?
So I remember in the cafeteria that I figured out what timing was, and that was when you had to sit there, eat your vegetables, eat your meal, and then they'd let you go, and you'd have to raise your hand. They would let you go, and I would do a thing where right when the teacher would come in to let you go, I would put my hand up like she kept missing me, and I had the whole entire table laughing and cracking up, and I was like, oh, okay, this works. And I really enjoyed making people laugh growing up, no matter what, no matter high school, just hanging around buddies and stuff, like just making people laugh. So it's always been really, really important to me.
That's super. Did you have other people around you growing up who were also funny that told you were funny?
Not necessarily. Well, I had storytellers. My grandpa and my dad were very long-winded. They were teachers and they were storytellers. But as far as personality and sense of humor, my grandpa got these German short hairs, and he put brand new pink carpet in for his wife and the dogs to mark their territory, peed on the ground. And I said, maybe he didn't like the color very good. And then he came to me and pointed right at my chest and said, you know what, something? Let me tell you something, Sam. You have a really good personality, and a lot of people don't have that. That's funny. And that was from my grandpa. And also when I worked at Taco Bell, this old lady bee came up to me. And I would tell jokes and joke around all the time. And I'll tell you guys, it doesn't hit. They do not hit all the time, often. And she said to me, don't you ever lose your personality. Don't you ever lose that. And since she was like 85 years old, I really, really took that to heart. And I was 16, 17. And since she said that to me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to that. So little stuff like that, that was 22 years ago, but I still remember her saying that.
Oh, wow. How would you describe your comedy? Because you've said little things that let the cat out of the bag, but in general, if people were to put you in a box, you have a unique brand of comedy. How do you self-describe it?
Okay, that's a really, really good question. My comedy is, I talk about what's going on in my life, who I'm dating, who I'm seeing, what's going on with raising my kids. I watch a lot of movies. I go to movies every Sunday. I make jokes about movies I see and try to twist it and make that funny. My style is what I'll do is I'll just write jumping off points and try to make them try to make them funny and good. I look at myself as not a really, really good writer as far as joke writing, but you have to try your ass off when you're on stage and smile, and that'll draw people in. And I listened to I heard Patton Oswalt said the first 7 years of comedy, you're just trying to build a backbone for yourself. So if drinks get spilled or something gets broken, you have something quick to come back with. And I've also heard some of the jokes that you write in the first 3 years, later in comedy, you probably won't even use those. So now that I'm a little bit better, I can go back to old books and old notes and bring them up and try to make them funny.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is to see new comics that nobody's got a hold of and try to give them advice yet, because all they're trying to do is be super funny. And so I love it so much. I like to watch these guys try to do jokes, and I've always loved people. So, but I don't think I answered it really, really well.
You did great. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? So, what is it exactly? Now you've got 5 years of comedy under your belt. Before we went on camera, we were talking about how we both got into comedy. Would you tell the people here that'll watch this probably later, would you tell them what in your life made you decide to do comedy in the first place?
So I've heard from other people that once a breakup happens or they get out of a relationship, they've always wanted to do comedy, and they go, okay, I'll do it. So I was in a 5-year relationship, and we broke up, and it was a weird time in my life. And to kill time, I said, I wonder if they're still doing comedy in Vegas, which is crazy because I didn't know. I remember Brent Tobler and Mark Markman would run a room about 10 years ago, and I went to those guys and saw them do shows. And I just wondered, hey, can anybody do it? And I watched one time, and the list was like 25 people. And about 2 hours into it, I said, hey, can I get on? They said, oh, well, tonight the list is full, but come back next Sunday, but be ready. And after I saw some of the stories of people doing comedy, I said, oh, I could try that. I could do that. And my 17th, I would write down every time I did comedy. And my 17th time doing it, Randall Thompson was running a room called Motor City. And I absolutely floored him and smashed it for like 20 people. And I was so excited, so happy, like, oh, I'm always going to be funny now. This is going to work. It's always going to be like there every single time. And it did. It took like another 15 or 20 before I had another really, really good set. So comedy is a very, very long process. And it's me, I like to watch people that have been doing it 10 years because they know what they're doing. And I've heard tons of advice about, well, no, not necessarily the best ways to think about it. They said, if this person isn't getting paid for comedy, don't listen to a word they say. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. But yeah, there's also people that have taken classes for comedy, and sometimes people are for or against that. But what they don't know, very, very good people have taken classes for comedy, and they're able to come up with a good set also. So I guess it's up to the individual.
Let's talk about that,
Okay.
because I just read a post of a New York comic who go nameless, posted just yesterday on Facebook that, listen, I've been on TV, I've been here, I've been there. Why are you guys wasting your money getting advice from nobody? And I get kind of tired of all the infighting going on in comedy, well, in life.
Right.
And I just think some of the best advice I've gotten about my own comedy has been when I talk to a homeless person or somebody on that, tell them a joke, and you get good at. So where do you fall, or what's your advice about people being judgmental of where they get their information to make themselves better?
So it can be really, really hurtful. It can be really, really, really bad. I have friends that have taken comedy classes, and they have 3 15-minute sets that they can get paid for. And it's good, it's original, it's happy to listen to. They're very, very good at it. but I also understand where my friends are coming from that are absolutely against taking classes where, you know, Jimi Hendrix, he obviously didn't sit down and do that. There's more of a soul to it.
Got it.
And so I like people with the soul that are up there that are just hysterical and funny and self-taught. And I kind of, me particularly,
Mhm.
when I hear people do very, very clean comedy where it's like, hey, I have kids and I spilled the milk, better get the brownie. And they get the laugh. I think you can get a laugh like that. But for me, that's not I'm not there to see that kind of stuff. But I understand why it works. You know, so if there's a bunch of people flying in from the Midwest and they want to see a light comedy show, then okay, you could get that laugh and you can go do that. At the other time, every single comic that I see doesn't need to be like a Quentin Tarantino movie talking about I don't know how much you can say on this, but really sick
Whatever.
we're talking about really, really sick shit. Because sometimes it's funny just to say that, to talk about. We're adults.
Yes.
But so there's a couple ways to do it, and I'm just gonna listen to the right people and do it my way.
Absolutely. So in the 5 years you've been doing comedy, I'm sure you've heard a lot about two things: reading a room and persona. And I find those phrases thrown out there a lot, and nobody really explains them. So you sit and observe, you're an observer. I'm surprised you don't do Jerry Seinfeld type comedy, because if there's anybody that can observe every comment and everybody in the room, I would think you got it nailed down. How do you observe a room?
So what I've heard, CC Sample set something up, a friend of mine. She set something up at LA Comedy Club with Butch Bradley, and everything you hear from people is regurgitated information, but it's very, very good. What he does is what I learned from what he said. His words is he goes into a room, doesn't chit chat with people, but actually looks and see what it is. See if you see somebody that looks like a cop, somebody that looks like a teacher, a group of bachelor people, you can kind of build a community when you're on stage as a headliner. I don't think very many friends I know are at that headline level, but I've seen that go that way. So it is funny to be able to have those things, and it is a technique. When I read a room before, I'll see a couple people that have something different, point at them, ask them a question, do that. You kind of get into some crowd work that way. But I like I like using my own material and doing both a little bit, looking at people in the room and also have something prepared.
Wonderful. I think that's a good combination, because if people go up and it's all crowd work, you're like, do you have anything prepared?
Right.
Or if it's all prepared material, it's like, do you even care about the crowd?
Right. And at times it's kind of cheating, but it's good. You're not supposed to show what's behind the scenes, but if someone's wearing a fedora hat, you could just point out, hey, Frank Sinatra did it his way, am I right? And I could get a laugh, and it's good. I could get a laugh, but as far as writing and knowing how to do a whole entire set, that's one little small thing you can do that I've seen people doing work, or just point at a bunch of people and riff on them. And when you're actually doing comedy, it's got to get through your set, be funny the whole time. So that's what I absolutely loved about it. Growing up, I did wrestling, and I also did rock climbing. And comedy is in the same kind of vein, where nobody's there to help you. It's completely on your shoulders. You can't kind of be a bricklayer. You either just have to do it, or it's on you if it goes bad. So I do like that pressure of what it is. Same thing with trying to climb a rock. You can't. There's no excuses to be made. Same thing with wrestling. You can't bitch about something going wrong. It's completely on you. And also picking. I got a chance. I went to Don's spot and I talked to a headliner, Rick D'Elia, and I asked, picking a headliner's brain after. They give you a lot of information. If you listen the right way, you can get better too. Where it goes negative is if you try to tell your friends, hey, this is what this guy told me, because then that's getting into unsolicited comedy advice. So listen to who you want to listen to it, and you could find a lot of tips.
I love that. You've got great advice. Thank you for that. I am working. I'm just now at 7 years in, and I don't go out every night. I would be in a coffin if I went out every night. You can't do that at my age.
Completely takes, comedy is such an emotional roller coaster. If you do it right, it's a very unhealthy, bad way to live.
Yeah.
If you do it I don't know how people do it 7 nights a week like this, because for me, with overeating, if I do really, really well at a set, I'll treat myself with like 52-ounce Mountain Dew. And if I do bad at a set, at least I can go get 52-ounce of root beer or something. And over time, that's not the right way to live. That can really mess you up. But yeah, the more skills, Hudson said that, the more reps you get, the better you'll be. So my thing is just do a ton of reps.
Yes. So being as you've been in it 5 years, and I've been in it 2 additional years, part-time-ish, have you stepped into the arena of knowing what your persona is? And can you speak to people about comedy persona?
Yeah. Jocelyn Sharp said, Sam, if you want to be good at this, just completely be yourself. And I said, my thing is with me is I'm a little bit too gushy, a little bit too emotional. She said, that's fine, just be yourself. Bruce Purcell told me when I first started doing comedy, me and Eggy, who passed away, he said, you guys up there are trying to act like your characters, but be yourself. So to find out who you are and be yourself with it, it's going to draw people in. If you're doing stuff the right way and it matters to you, it'll draw people in. But yeah.
Perfect. And then another word that people don't always explain is be authentic. What's that mean to you when you hear it?
Okay, so being authentic is unrevealing the curtain. Talk about start off with a little joke, and then you could take people wherever you want to go in your set. But talk about what's going on in your life. I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts, and Theo Vaughn being from where he's from, and he's talking about his personal life. That's going to draw people in, and you can't fake it. Have interesting experiences, and talk about those. And then comedy, if it's done right, if it's so intimate, people out there looking, watching the performer on stage are gonna accept them. And that's what it is. It's about it's like that's what it is. It's about showing people that you're a human being and they want, and that's all it is, because they're thinking about the same stuff you are. So take really, really big swings at it.
Love that. So pick out some big things going on that everybody can relate to and make it relatable in person.
Yeah, there's that way of doing it. I hear that that's the right way to do it, where it is really, really relatable. But I like seeing weird comics that are like, 111 pounds and their life's been really, really crazy and wild, and they're like, hey, I can never even, reach the mailbox. And I'm like, it makes you love that person when they talk about their struggle. So for me, that's why I love so many of these Las Vegas comics, because if they're being honest on stage, you love them immediately because you recognize what they're going through.
Yes.
You recognize what they're going through quick. And even if their jokes aren't worked out really, really well, you're on their side.
Because of their authenticity. Yeah. They're being real. So in your comedy life here, mostly in Vegas, what is the biggest thing that you did right, well, and what's something that you learned from because you didn't do it right? Or that you've seen done right and not right without naming names or clubs?
Okay, that I've seen done right. is people have said, like I mentioned before, do as many sets as you can. Watch a bunch of comedy live. Watch it close. I sit close. Sometimes I sit with groups of people and watch comedy. Sometimes, depending on my mind, I'll just watch people really, really close and see that works, that doesn't work. How close are they to making it work? So really, really study it the right way. And then to do it right is, like I said, be somebody in this comedy scene that people want to help. All right, Sam's supporting these rooms. Let's get that guy on a show. Let's get him on. Let's get him this. And don't, if you're new to comedy, don't just say yes because it's a good opportunity. Kind of really be thoughtful about it, that you have the time and you know where you're at, where it's going to be good. So it's a good relationship. Me starting comedy at 34 years old was good because a lot of people that are 20 maybe you can group up and get with this group or cut corners. But I find if I don't let comics twist in the wind and I go about it with a little bit more of a mature attitude, it's a little bit better. And I don't think for me especially, I wouldn't have done that at like 20, 22 years old.
Yes. So you started into comedy in your 30s, you said?
Yes.
And I started when I was 63.
Okay.
So speak to starting comedy in the 30s as opposed to younger or older from what you've observed. What kind of good and bad, pro and con do you see happening when new people step on the first few times, young, middle, or older?
If you care about it, you're gonna do comedy for a very, very long time. If you're young and you just start, you're gonna get on 3 or 4 shows, you're gonna get on 5 shows, you're gonna book important, funny people around you, and then that goes away. That goes away, that stops. And that's cool because you can completely rebuild. You can completely rebuild and do it for the right reasons if you're supposed to be in comedy for a long time. You see a lot of friends quit and stop. Richard Humphreys told me, Sam, every class or group of comedy people that start, 1 or 2 or 3 will stay. So staying in it for a very, very long time means something to me. And what else did you have?
So like when you see a new comic go on stage and they're 18, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. What? Okay, and then you compare that to a new person in their mid 30s, 40s, or you compare that to somebody in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. What do you see going on in comedy with those 3 groups of people?
Probably life experience. When you listen to the young kids, there is like a woke thing going on where somebody said the other night, aren't you so excited and so happy that there's so much diversity here in the crowd tonight? And I gave a fuck about these people before she said that. I already cared about and loved and been through very, very late nights and conversations with these people before that was said. And I don't need to pick a side where I'm saying, yeah, I absolutely love the diversity because we've had it. We've all had it for a very long time. And but that's good that it was mentioned. And let me tell you something else. No, so that happened, and then when you really at Grouchy John's, I would get a lot of people that took comedy classes. And those people were doing the, hey, where's the beef kind of jokes. And that's very, very old references. But I just love people. So I can like somebody that's 22 years old doing comedy or somebody's very, very old. When I watch Erin O'Connor do comedy, she writes, she's absolutely amazing and knows how to do it. When I watch comedy, I like to watch people that know what they're doing. Because there's so many people that do not, and we're so close to it where it's like, are we doing it right, are we doing it good? But with timing and practice, There's a lot of very good comics that are good because yeah, I think it's just how quick of a learner you are, and how practiced you are at it, and if it matters, if you care about it and it matters to you, over time your set can get pretty good. And if it's authentic, don't bring some bullshit on stage.
It's funny because like people that go on stage and they have jokes about a vase, picture, a chair, a light. It's like, what about you? I'm not getting to know you. I want to get to know. I'm sitting here, and then there's the other end of the spectrum where you're hearing too much about them, and like,
Yeah.
what kind of comedy do you just want to? Could you please talk about a vase?
I saw Jerry Seinfeld. I spend money to see good comics that come to Vegas. Everybody that I want to see that comes to, I will pay $160, however much the ticket is, and watch it and see why people laugh. My son just got to see Fluffy, and I've seen Fluffy before, and he had everybody laughing. I've seen Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld's the kind of person I'm going to see once. Saw Bert Kreischer and I'd see him. Saw Bert Kreischer and I saw Bill Burr. I would spend money to see Bill Burr every time he came to town.
Why?
Because he's talking about his life. Because they're talking about their lives. They're not talking about a checkout stand, a self-checkout. And don't get me wrong, people can make that very, very funny. But if you're talking about your lives, it gives a peek into someone that's actually living life. And I joke around on stage to say I'm a voyeur. I like to watch stuff really, really closely, and I laugh at inappropriate things. If you're not good at comedy yet, you say something like, "Oh, my mom has cancer." How the fuck you can make that funny? You just they I will start laughing, and then they say during their set, "Sam, you're not supposed to laugh at that part." It's like, you gotta make that part, and you gotta flip it and make it funny.
It's funny because, like if they haven't figured out how to make it funny, us comedians will think it's funny and we'll laugh because it's not funny yet. And they'll to interpret it, being narcissistic comedians, they'll go, "Oh, that joke hit, it didn't hit yet."
No,
That's why we're laughing.
hit. Yeah, it did not hit. Yeah, definitely.
So now you're in comedy. What are some goals you have out there for your young future? You're young.
Trish Smart is my North Star that she travels for comedy. And I would love to do that when Donnie Johnson and Tabloid get on an airplane and travel to Portland for comedy. That's inspiring to me. I would like to do Boston, New York. I'd like to do stuff in the United States. But I think it would be so cool to spend a week in New York City, do every single mic, and then a showcase at the end. And I'd like to do that in Boston. And I love comedy because it's like a puzzle that's never finished. You're always growing. And for Trish to tell me stories about what she does to take a mic, a box of sound, and put her on the back of a motorcycle and drive through Thailand to hit a bar, that she's living the right way. She's living the right way with that. And so traveling for comedy would be really, really cool. And watching comedy in other places. I've performed at over 30 venues in Vegas.
Wow.
And that's only Las Vegas. I've only done LA 3 times and done Phoenix 2 times. But just imagine what people are talking about in Atlanta, in Texas. I'm hearing good things about Austin. So it'd be cool to see what these other places are like.
Wouldn't it though?
It would be.
I think it would be so fun to just go on the road and never come back. Of course, I've not ever gone on the road, but I want to do comedy in every bar, every dive bar, every biker bar. I just want to relate to people.
I'd like to do that, and then I'd also like to watch and go see. I'm a huge fan, geek out for comedy. I would also like to see all the improvs all the comedy clubs because that's where professionals are at. And I, when I saw a Netflix special, when I saw Pete Davidson do his comedy special, to me, when I watched that and do that whole thing, if you're a comic and you've seen it, that's the closest thing to some guys that I've seen out here in Vegas, where nervous as shit, shaky voice, uh, tattooed, and life is going through a very, very weird thing, but still able to be funny as shit for their entire set. I like a little bit more raw like that. But at the same time, I like a Regan, like in
Dennis.
front
Ryan.
Regan. I like that. But yeah, so it's good to see the pros that work comedy like that.
Who are some of the oldest comics that you look up to or looked up to when you were a kid?
Mel, his name Mel.
Torme?
No, those
No.
those Monty Python.
Oh,
Who's the
okay.
creator of that? Oh, geez. I can't believe I don't know that.
I'm drawing a blank, but the Monty Python creator.
Yeah, Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks. Of course,
Brooks.
Mel Brooks.
I'm an old soul, so I like somebody that old. Huh? I
Oh,
like somebody that old. And like growing up, I watched a lot of BET, so I like Earthquake. I like Bernie Mac. I like Eddie Murphy a lot. A lot. Yeah. I like Miss Pat, but I could probably Don Rickles. I got to see George Carlin in Vegas
wow.
at the Orleans, and that was really, really cool to see what that was. Yeah, so I got to see Carlin live. That was
Incredible to get to see him live.
yeah, I wish I would have saw Don Rickles.
Yes. He has a daughter in LA, Mindy, that's learning comedy.
I think you should interview her.
I've tried, but I haven't got her to reply yet, even though we have people we know in common. No reply yet. I'm just waiting.
With getting to know comics, they're kind of like, I don't know if people are into NASCAR or something, but you can kind of go down there and talk to the drivers. Comedy too. You can get a hold of these people. I got to see Chris Farley's brother, Peter Farley, when
Yes.
he was in Vegas and watched his entire set and got to talk to him after, and that was really, really cool. That was cool to do. So oh, Doug Stanhope, I met him out here in Vegas and got to talk to him for like 15, 20 minutes.
Wow.
And I posted, hey, here's a picture of me and Doug Stanhope at comics elsewhere, like, you lucky fucker. And I was like, that was you'll get a lot of, if you do comedy every single night, go to every single show and put yourself out there like that, you'll be really, really happy with it.
You will meet people just
Yeah,
by being yourself and working on your craft. People will come around that are big people. They'll just
yeah, Tom Baum's friends with Tom Rhodes pretty good, and I got to go watch Tom Rhodes set and see Destroy at LA Comedy Club, and then after bought a record from him and talked to him and talked about comics like to stay up very, very late and talk about comedy. And I was saying that I said, I loved absolutely everything you said. A lot of my buddies at comedy just talk about like fucking a girl behind a dumpster. And that's cool, that's funny, because yeah, I used to love to do that. Well, me too, but the thing is also try to evolve with it as well.
good point.
Because you might split the room if you don't know what you're doing yet and talk about that kind of stuff. Because a mother and if there's a couple that have been through infidelity, you want to talk about infidelity on stage, they've already had to live through that. So try to tell those jokes a few times and it's not hitting, shelve it for a little bit.
Yes. Okay, here's a last question before we get into where you are on social media and how to follow you, what you have coming up. But in your comedy, how do I like to phrase things positive. It takes a second. So this question just came to me. I have to make it positive. I like getting feedback from people. I don't like unsolicited advice. So sometimes people will tell me the same repetitive thing. Like I'll get done doing comedy. You look so beautiful tonight. Oh, don't worry about it. You look gorgeous, or you smile too much. They give you the same, you'll hear it a lot. What's the same feedback you've gotten over and over that drives you with sugar nut?
uh, for me to get feedback from my friends, I will go up to them and ask them, hey, what do you like about it? What do you not like about it? I'll rather talk to them about their life instead of their comedy set, because that's very, very personal to people. That's theirs. And usually I see two groups of people. If you're a very, very good writer, not so much confidence on stage. If you want to be a really, really good performer, like I say about myself, nothing between the ears, not so much very good writing. So it's cool to see both. And I've heard people say, oh man, you are so great. Every single one of your jokes are great, well written. We don't have any confidence when you do them. And I've seen people get really sad in this town, get really, really sad after they get that kind of feedback, because it's like a pin prick through your heart. It's like you don't know what that person's going through in their lives.
Yes.
So I care. So usually when people come up to me and talk to me after a good set or a bad set, if they care about me back, they'll approach me the right way. I had such a horrible set on Christmas night. I did it Christmas, and I really wanted it. I already had the kids' presents due that morning, and they went with their mom in the afternoon. So I said, I'm going to comedy night because it's open. And I had a bad set, and Randall came up to me next to me, and he said, "You're going to be great." I said, "Why the fuck would you say that to me after you just saw that?" He goes, "Because you keep trying, you keep coming back, you keep putting in the work ethic, and that means a lot to you even after you have a bad set." Yes. So when you have a good set, that same people or group of people will come up to you and say, "See you, it's good." So that's what I feel about it. But if somebody wants to ask me or talk to me about comedy, I heard somewhere that when you listen to people, they only take in about 15% of what you're saying. So I've learned, don't put too much energy into telling people how to do this, especially if they want to start comedy, get booked, and not carry on with it very long. Don't waste your energy telling them too much.
I love that. Also, if it would go the other way too, if they're listening to you do your comedy, they probably only heard 15% of it.
Right.
So if they're giving you feedback.
So I did hear this one time. I heard somebody say they will forget about what you've said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So I try to use that as like a tool for my toolbox, and have a good closer, a good finish, something good to send people on their way.
I love that. And, I got to tell you, people listening, I hate it when people say you people. I got to tell the audience here at home of all of those comedians in Vegas who have welcomed me into comedy. Not one of them has been so consistently nice and kind and real as Sam Lundstedt.
Thank you for the compliment.
You get that authentically. That's you. Consistent, nice, respectful, kind.
I want to tell you why, though. I want to tell you why it's like that, because we're only with each other, whether it's a relationship, we're only with each other for 10 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. So why not be really, really good to people when you're with them?
Make it memorable, make it good. Yeah. So where will you be performing in Vegas? And then do you have things booked that we can get behind and support?
So last month when we were going to do this interview, I had 3 things coming up that I did. And coming up now, I have just the mic that I run on Saturdays at 7:30 at Ismara. But there's 2 other mics in this Lavender spot, and Liz Hader's opening up something. So I might step away from that and go to those mics because I really like Dennis's room. at the Silver Nugget. It's very, very rough, hard room, but you can be good at it. Um, yeah, so I'll probably be getting on some of T.C. Morgan shows. I've been talking with him, and he's put me on my very first roast. He put me on that, and he also let me feature at Kava
Wow.
at the Kava thing. So I know right now there's a few people that are Parker Ties making shows over there at Happy Earth. So they do an open mic and he's making shows. So I got my hands in things as far as knowing these bookers that want to produce shows. Me myself, I think I don't want to produce a show yet right now unless it's the right circumstances. But probably hanging out with TC Morgan and Parker and see what I can get on with those guys would be good. And if anybody runs a mic in town that needs me to host it for them, I'll jump at that opportunity because I love that. That's a lot of fun for me. Is hosting because you get multiple chances. You get to go up a lot more than just a 5 minute set. So just that, and that's what I want to commit to right now.
Okay. And then the final question is, where on social media can people keep up with you and support your comedy?
So I already have two things going with that. And people that are good at comedy and pushing a little bit harder, I get tons of stage time, but they're on 5 different platforms and pushing it the right way and putting a lot of content out there. See Carlos Anthony stuff, every single video he does is funny. Spiro puts out a lot. I do like watching those. I like watching their TikTok things. If you guys want to laugh, look at Mike Krasner's Instagram page because he makes me laugh every single day of the week. But as far as me, for what I have Facebook that I use a lot for comedy and Instagram, and it's just SAMLUNDSTEDT, Sam Lundstedt for Facebook and Sam Lundstedt for Instagram, those two. But I've been asked a couple of times to do sketches with Robbie Aces and Rob Bossoleri, but yeah, I don't know. I'm skittish about putting that kind of stuff out there. So for me, I like to keep it a little bit mysterious and say, "This is where I'm at. Check me out. This is where I'm performing." And people will message me, "Hey, I'm in town. Where can I see you?" So that's how I like to do it.
Well, you're the most real person I've run into. And if I didn't know you from this scene and I ran into you once, I would be getting a hold of you and saying, I'm going to be here in town. Where can I come support you? Speaking of coming and supporting you, do you have how has the pandemic been financially? And do you want to put out a Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal?
I don't need that because luckily I drive a truck for a living and it didn't slow down at all. And I'm a comedian that has a job from 6 in the morning till 4, so I'll always have my bills paid. So it's hard to be able to work that much and then go out to do comedy too. So the finances are okay with that because I have, and I'm not bragging, it's because I have 2 kids and they prefer stability. They like if I'm away at night doing comedy, they at least like have the lights on, bills paid, and stuff like that. But man, the comics that I know that just do comedy, that are living off of comedy wages right now, they get pretty good at the craft. They get really good. It means a lot. They get really good if it's comedy or nothing. And so yeah, that's they get good.
So you don't need the financial help, but you guys, if you know other comics, ask them. Just like, how's it been going through the pandemic? Do you have a Cash App? Some of them are really hurting through this pandemic that we're trying to come out of.
Yeah,
Others aren't.
and if you meet comics and talk to them and see what the kind of lives they have to live to do this, it's that's what made me try so hard at comedy is some of my friends didn't have $11 or $15 or $3 and live with people. And if I have enough money to have a tank of gas to get there, and I'm able to keep that going, then I might as well try as hard as them at comedy. So not like I owe them, but just if they're gonna put everything they have into it, when I'm on stage, I can do the same. And I wish a lot more comics that I see at these mics would hit it really, really hard too, because it just makes it more fun to watch when everybody's good.
Absolutely. And even if you're not financially or physically able to go out 7 nights a week or 5 nights a week, when you do go out, take it seriously. Play like do your comedy like you're at Madison Square Garden.
So many people go out to do comedy just for the hang, and that is a lot of fun. You could have a lot of fun nights hanging out, hanging around. But if you try your hardest at a mic, you're gonna get booked on shows that you're gonna get booked. You will get booked if I hate it when people say that, it's just an open mic. It's okay if you suck or if you do bad. That's okay through certain parts of your set. But if you try your hardest and people are like, damn, that dude's good, let's get him on a show. That girl's killing it right now. She's doing stuff. Let's put her as a feature spot. That's when you're really making waves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've gotten to know you better, and I had you pegged as somebody that's sweet and sincere, patient, always stable. You don't have these ups and downs like, oh, what kind of mood Sam's in tonight. You're not that guy. You're very always even keel. And I'm so glad that I got to hear so much about that through this interview. And I'm glad other people. Oh my gosh. Is there anything, I'll let you close out by saying anything you want viewers. This is going to get sent to military companies, veteran-owned companies, military orgs. Anything you want to say to anybody in the world that's been watching this whole thing on comedy, how, like, any encouragement you have for people in general?
So Linda does this, and she's had so many interviews where so many people got to talk about their platform. Michael D'Angelo was in the military, and he puts together these big, huge, gigantic comedy shows for a bunch of veterans that are in it and people that are serving. So go out if you don't have anything to do. For comedy, I've already watched Survivor. I've watched enough TV. I know the Pawn Stars and that stuff, and it's scripted and whatnot. So if you're tired of just watching shows, go out. You shower up, get cleaned up, and go out and do comedy and watch comedy. You'll have so much more fun than just watching TV at the house, because it's more real. People are talking about some real stuff, and it's good to see what normal, regular people are talking about. So definitely, I think everybody ends up like this by saying, hey, go out and support comedy. But if you do it, go out and talk to them, talk to these people, and get a little bit of an understanding of who they are, what they are, and that'll make stuff more palatable in your personal life.
I love that. Thank you so much, Sam Lundstedt. It's on Facebook and Instagram, and this show wouldn't even be happening if it wasn't for ahabroadway.org. So go check them out too, please. Thank you so much for watching Comic Spot. I'm Linda Marcus Smith. Bye. It's so fun to do it.
You're good at it.